the pig at full forward.
Rockcliffe, gee, that was strong by Rockcliffe. That is a terrific goal.
Fantasia or Fantasia?
Roaming Orazio.
Orazio Fantasia!
I wonder how far we've got to go back to see when time on was allowed for a pig on the ground.
Welcome to another episode of Rock the Razbah, episode 13. I'm joined again by my co-host, Orazio Fantasia.
Rock, beautiful number, episode 13, and a very big show.
Huge show. We have the one and only Kyle Chalmers.
Chalmers, yes.
Chalmers this week. So we had a little bit of fun with his name last week. We might touch on that as the show goes on. But let's delve into the footy this week.
Yep.
Disappointing loss for the senior team over there in the West. Very brave.
Yes, brave.
The middle two quarters were really disappointing.
Yeah, they were. And to Freo's credit, their hands, I'm sure you watched it, they were quite elite around stoppage, and that was probably the big differences. In sort of the second quarter and the third quarter, they got on top of stoppage, and the last quarter, we sent big Charles in there, and he got things moving a little bit differently. So, yeah, unfortunately, it was similar to the Carlton game. We were just a little bit too far back, and we came home with a wet sail, but couldn't get over the top.
Started really well on the road, which you have to do when you go away. Finished really strong. That was probably the most disappointing thing watching at home. I thought we were a big chance. The way we started, we couldn't have started any better. We know they're a really quality team. I think the one thing that was obvious in the end, they got on top really strong around clearances.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, we probably started the better in the clearances in the first quarter. We kicked the first three. You know, so stuff like that is what we touched on in our review. Like that's a really positive for us going forward. You want a fast start regardless whether it's here or there, but it's more just how do we minimise those lapses. You know, that 12 or 15 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever it is, just trying to claw that momentum back.
It'll be a short week, 6-day turnaround. I assume trained yesterday.
Yep.
How did that go?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, the boys have come back with some intensity and wanted to crack in, and we've got some things to work on, definitely. And, you know, the pressure moving forward, and we need to win, basically. You know, almost win out, Rock, and unfortunately. But the beauty in that is it's in our hands, so we can control our own destiny. Now,
we can't just go on without talking about the Magpies. Unfortunately, went down to North Adelaide. They could have used someone that could have had 57 there, I'm sure, on the day. But unfortunately, it was a pretty dark day for the boys down there.
It was tough, definitely. I think at halftime it was 69-3. So the Magpies, didn't quite get a hold of the footy. And when they did, North set up the ground quite well and sort of just kept kicking it back to them. So, you know, it's good learning for those guys like Jed McEntee, who's playing that high half forward role, knowing not to get sucked up too high the ground and sort of get back and equalise. So there's good things to take out of that game. Yeah,
and I think there's reasons for that. The senior team takes 4 emergencies over. Marty Frederick played at half, so there was effectively 6 AFL listed players playing, which makes it really challenging. And then North are a good team as well. They're sitting on top of the ladder for a reason. So there's challenges amongst that, but I'm sure disappointed as it is, and we don't want to make excuses or anything like that. It wasn't the result that we wanted going there, and we've got to be better moving forward. Let's look forward now. We've got the Giants this weekend. You said before that we just have to win every game. So Port Adelaide take on the GWS Giants, 7 p.m, Adelaide Oval, Saturday night.
Beautiful.
What can we see? What's the main takeaway from the Freo game that we're going to take into the Giants game?
Yeah, I think the Giants, and we've watched as I say, I'm a bit of a footy head, Rock, and I'm sure you are too. Love watching footy, and I've seen the Giants play recently, and they've got a real attacking flair about them. So they're all out attack at the moment, really, and trying to get at you pretty quick. So I think for us, defensive focus and being able to shut off their corridor ball movement. And then being able to take it back through them is something that we're probably going to have to exploit.
You would have done the review today. I'm not sure you would have done a lot of Oppo analysis, but have they changed their style at all? Are you aware of any changes that they've made? Yeah,
well, previously under Leon, and we haven't done Oppo, but this is just my footy knowledge, and I'm a footy nuff, so you know I love watching. Very defensive under Leon and a bit safer with the ball, whereas now under Spike McVeigh and Hurdy, one of my old coaches, he likes to attack and go at the other team. So yeah, it's a bit of a flip mindset there for them.
I'll just throw some names at you. The chance to return, Butters.
I think so. Yeah, he's been running really well. So I mean, hopefully he'll be good in.
He'd have to get through training on Thursday.
Yeah.
Scotty Lysette.
Yeah, he's going to play some footy, whether that's AFL or SNFL. That's not up to me, but he's going to play this weekend, which is good.
Tom Cleary.
Yep, knee's feeling really good, so hopefully he's and over the COVID little spicy cough.
Bonner.
Yes, today was his first run, which is really good. He's got a bit of a black eye from that surgery and had to get a plate in there, but he's coming along nicely.
X-Man, we seen him laid out.
Yep, X-Man, very similar to Jonesy, I think, on the lesser end, which is always nice. So those guys hopefully not too far away.
Lockie Jones, same.
Yep, same. Yeah.
Dan Houston, we seen him jar his knee come off late in the game.
Yeah, I think he's okay, but you know what Dan's like. When you ask him, you're never quite sure if he's joking or not. So how are you, Dan? Yeah, I'm good. Like, you just never quite know with the big fella.
Okay, and the Magpies take on Woodville West Torrens Eagles at 2:10 away on Saturday afternoon. We expect to see a couple of those guys play, so it should be a good game, and I expect the boys to bounce back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Woodville, once again, a good team with, some quality older, 25-year-old men. So it's another good challenge for the boys to get over there and see how they go.
Yes, I think the game since the bye has been really good. The pressure it's evident when watching Port Adelaide games. It's back up where it needs to be, and unfortunately we started the season really poorly, but playing some really good footy towards the back half of the year. Port Adelaide take on the Giants 7 p.m. Adelaide Oval Saturday night. Kids getting free.
Oh, beautiful! You'll be coming?
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be in the box calling. So hopefully it'll be a very easy call, because when I ventured out of playing footy, went into the media, I thought, fantastic, Port Adelaide, 2 prelims, my old club, they're going to be really good. It's going to be a real easy transition. Little did I know that you'd go out and start the season 0-5, and I'd have to be negative and cop me fair whack for being negative. But it's good to see boys are back in a little bit of form. Unfortunately, it's going to be an uphill battle, but one that we're not going to shy away from as a footy club.
Yeah, that's right. And as I said earlier, the having our destiny in our hands is exciting. That's what you want as a football team, and as a football player, you love your back against the wall, and you just want to play the best footy. So it's exciting.
Very exciting on the footy front now. We have a very big guest coming up. We have to zoom into Spain, believe it or not. So we're going to have to just click off now, get everything up and going, and we'll be back shortly.
Let's hope he's not in his Speedos on the beach, the big fella.
18 years of age, and he's the Olympic champion.
King Kyle, an Adelaide schoolboy, becomes Australia's gold medal hero.
For years, he's been known as the son of Brett Chalmers. Now Brett's the proud dad of Olympic medalist Kyle.
To win a gold medal, well, that's just blown it away.
Very, very grateful to be able to look up into the crowd and see my parents after a race like that.
Social media went wild as he earned the admiration of sporting heroes across the globe, from Ian Thorpe. Wow.
Well, it's that time, Razbah. We have our guest. We've dialed into Spain. It's been a little bit of a teething issue. We've got a few staff away. Daniel Norton again has abandoned us.
Shock. Are you shocked, Rock?
No, not really. Not really. Kyle Chalmers.
Kyle
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, that's how you say it.
That's how you say it. We had a little bit of fun last week with it. We had Chris Davies on, and I don't know. Have you had much to do with Chris Davies?
Nah, not a lot.
He takes the absolute mickey out of me stuffing up everyone's names, which I can do, generally tennis players, but we had a little bit of fun with you last week. But let's introduce him. He burst onto the scene, winning the gold medal in the men's 100-metre freestyle at the Rio Olympics in 2016, setting a new junior world record. Then the 17-year-old also took home 2 bronze medals in the relays. Fresh out of Emmanuel College and the Marion Swim Club, Chalmers was well known to many around Alberton as the son of four-time Port Adelaide Premiership player and 1998 Jack Oatley medalist Brett.
Did you say Oatley there?
See, that's what I do, Kyle. I just have a bit of fun along the way. Mate, you're a club ambassador. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on. I feel very honoured to get the call up.
The first time that
very
we've done...
excited when I got the message come through.
First time that we've done this, so anything could happen. They probably haven't even pressed record on it, so we might have to do it again when you get back to Australia. But tell us what's going on at the moment, why you're in Spain, moving forward.
Yeah, so I just finished up the World Championships in Budapest, and being Australia being so far away from obviously Europe, we've had to stay over for this time and do our preparations for Commonwealth Games here. So got a couple of weeks here in Spain, which is a pretty good place to be at the moment anyway. Australian winter, it's nice to be in the sun. And then, we go to Paris for a couple of weeks for a training camp and then roll into Birmingham for Commonwealth Games. So pretty hectic, busy schedule at the moment. It's kind of our main part of the year right now. And things are going pretty well, which is good. So Commonwealth Games will be exciting. Obviously, it only happens every 4 years, so it's good to have an opportunity and have a crack at that.
I must say the Spanish sun has got him glowing, hasn't it, Rock? Kyle, I want to chat to you about the World Champs. You weren't initially going to swim, but you qualified in the butterfly, and then you went over and had a go. How'd you feel like you went over there? Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. For me, I had my second shoulder surgery in December last year. World Championships was supposed to be in June in Japan, but they cancelled that World Championships. And as soon as that happened, I decided to just take some time away from the pool. So I spent close to 6 weeks out. My shoulders were both just bung. I couldn't drive, couldn't sleep, couldn't do anything. My shoulders were just constant pain. So it was nice having 6 weeks just completely away from the pool. Went up to the Sunshine Coast with one of my mates and just jumped in there and had a little bit of a swim to start building back fitness and seeing whether I wanted to actually continue on swimming or whether my swimming career was over. But had some fun up there with the younger kids in the squad. Enjoyed it. Started doing some butterfly, which I used to do as a kid. Previously, like 2019 and stuff, did a lot of butterfly and haven't been able to do so with my shoulders of late. So that kind of, I guess, just gave me a new stimulation and new motivation in the pool, just changing it up. And probably didn't put any pressure or expectation on myself. It was only probably 7 weeks before trials. Swimming is a very backwards sport in terms of normally you do months and months and months and months of fierce training before you are prepared to race the competition. So for me, only having 6 weeks was very, very new. But then, managed to qualify for the butterfly and had probably the most fun I've ever had in an international competition. I think just being able to race the butterfly, obviously take the pressure off myself a little bit, have some fun with it, and then do relays. I love swimming in the relays, and our relays had a bit of success, which was quite nice. And for me this year, I think there's about 20 new rookies on the swimming team, which is crazy on a team of 40. So I've been around for a while. I think I'm the fifth oldest or something now on the swimming team. So to have 20 new faces come through has been crazy, and to get to know them. So World Champs was just awesome, being able to get to know new people, do some different races, some relays, and have some fun. Yeah,
nice, mate. Now, you mentioned contemplating if swimming was still going. Was that a serious contemplation, or?
Yeah, I think as you know, like every time you take a serious knock and serious injury, you've probably contemplated, probably crosses your mind whether your days are done. For me, the last 2 years, I've pretty much lived in constant shoulder pain, and it's not just pain when I'm swimming. I think if it was just when I was swimming, it'd be a whole lot more manageable. But when you're struggling to sleep because your shoulders are in pain, struggling to drive, to lift your shoulders up to drive, struggling to drink coffee, whatever it is, was making life very, very challenging. So for me, I kind of had that second surgery thinking that it'll make things a whole lot better for me, and I hadn't seen any improvement, and I was just getting frustrated and upset with it. And I guess, definitely crosses your mind. Like, is it actually worth it? Obviously, there's a whole lot more to life than sport, and life after sport is it's going to have a big impact on me. So for me, definitely contemplated whether my swimming career was done and whether I should be getting ready for the next chapter.
I know what that's like. I obviously had the shoulder done 3 or 4 times as well, Raz, and that's probably from carrying the teams that I played in over the years. But his is a little bit different. Kyle, you spoke about only having the 6 weeks, and as a swimming thing, that you train for so long and then you go out there and perform. Do you think there's something in that? Because we know boxers, they have maybe 4 or 5 months off, come in for a 6-8 week period, and then compete. And we see a lot of swimmers end up in dark places that they shouldn't, because the training loads are so high, and then you only get to perform for such a small period of time. Do you think there's something in that maybe it's worth swimming looking at potentially going into a 6-8 week block, build up for that competition or that qualifying and then train from there?
Well, yeah, I think things will change, especially in my probably program with my coach now that I've been able to do that. I think swimming's such an old school, old-minded sport where we just get flogged day in, day out. 6 days of the week, 50 weeks of the year we train. So for me, my normal preparation, if I've got world champions, maybe World Championships or Olympics is normally around July. Pre-season starts kind of January, and we just get flogged right through until that July period. So, I think me this year having, such a limited preparation, really doing nothing like I've done previously, and still managing to perform at World Championships probably makes, hopefully, my coach and hopefully a few other of the coaches in the swimming world reassess a little bit, and maybe I can get away with doing a little bit less training going forward. But yeah, it is. It's an interesting sport in that regard. But I don't know. You kind of do it for the love of it, right? I probably love training more than I love racing. So gives me routine and structure and keeps me going each day.
And with a body like that, why wouldn't you love to train? Have a look at that. It's a fantastic specimen. He's got the singlet on.
It's starting to get a bit better.
He's done it
sloppy not that long ago.
Oh, please.
You can join me in the sloppy paddock if you want. You will when you retire, I'm sure of that. Now, so many medals. My wife, Shana, loves gold. She loves the rings and whatnot. What do you do with your medals? Is it real gold?
No, I don't think so. I highly doubt it's real gold in swimming. I think for me, they get hidden away in my cupboard. I didn't know where most of them were for a very long time. My mum had them in her room there at her place, whatever. But now I've managed to take them over, and I think my first round of medals at the Olympic Games, I'd do a lot of school talks or meet a lot of people, and they'd always want to see my medals, but they start to get destroyed pretty quickly. So this time I've been a bit more careful and tucked them away and don't let too many people touch them, because otherwise you take them to the school talks and kids drop them, and obviously there's a whole lot of excitement in seeing them and whatnot, but it's a bit heartbreaking seeing them get dropped and ruined.
They
you only
sneeze
get one.
on it. And yeah, that's right. They ruin it. Mate, you touched on your mum. You're very close with your family. How hard is it being away from them all the time, travelling and competing overseas?
It is. It's a challenge, but I think I've got used to it. I think for me last year, I spent 6 months straight overseas. I guess it's probably no different than the boys that get drafted into the AFL and move away from their families interstate. I get used to living in a hotel room, eating buffet food and FaceTiming. I think for me, I spend so much time on FaceTime when I'm away that I feel like I'm with my family anyway. So, yeah, just all part of the job, something you get used to really quickly. And I'm lucky that I'm really, really close with my coach and a few of the swimmers. And my housemate, Zach in 30, he travels with me as well. So I feel like it's almost a home away from home really anyway. So it's weird. It's kind of like this is almost more my home than when I'm actually at home, because I spend so much more time packed with a suitcase, interstate, internationally.
Yeah, wow. Mate, you start this sport quite young, right? How long do you see yourself? When you play footy, I guess you sort of everyone says you get to 30 and, it's sort of wrapping up. How long do you think you can swim for, and how long do you want to swim for?
Yeah, I think you could swim for a long time. It's just, do you really want to? Like, there's a guy at the World Championships that was 42 and won a silver medal. For me, I think I'll get Paris out of the way. I'll be 26 years old and probably ready to move on to the next chapter of my life, I think. I'll hopefully at that point tick all the boxes that I want to achieve in the sport and be ready to just probably play some country footy on the weekend with Big Sauce Jacobs and just have some fun. But for me right now, it's all focused on Paris, and I haven't thought too much about the future. But it's just, I guess, as long as the body holds up, and probably more importantly, as long as the mind holds up, right?
That's right. Your mind's got to be in the game to compete at the highest level, whatever you do. What are those goals? You spoke about them. You want to achieve them by the time you're 26. What's the number one thing you want to tick off that list?
Well, there's still a few things I haven't done. I think to win an individual world championship would be nice, or world champion gold medal. I've won a few Commonwealth Games gold medals, but not in the 100 freestyle, which is my main event. And the world record, I'm quite close to the long course as well. So if I could tick a few of those off, I think I'd retire a very happy man. But I think also I'm very lucky to still have not achieved everything. Otherwise, it would be very hard to stay motivated. And I think for me, that was probably the best thing about rocking up in Tokyo last year and losing by 0.06 of a second. It would have been quite challenging to rock up after just having shoulder surgery, win and break the world record. I think I would have been probably done there. But for me, it gave me motivation to continue on. So, yeah, there's a few things that I still need to achieve before I'm satisfied with my career.
Now, anyone that follows you on the social media or whatnot knows that you're a reptile man. Razbah often gets called a reptile, I think, for different reasons to what you do. What's the fascination there for you?
Growing up in country South Australia, used to go catching lizards and snakes a bit with my grandpa and friends on the farm or whatever on the weekends. And then when I moved to Adelaide, obviously in Lincoln had pretty much every single pet you could imagine. Moved to Adelaide, wasn't allowed to have any animals. Mum said I was allowed to have a blue-tongue lizard. And then, the fascination kind of grew from there, just having it. And there's a whole lot of money in it, to be honest with you. You could do it as a full-time business. So, like an albino olive python, which is Australia's biggest python. If you get an albino version of them, they'll have eggs once a year, and they can have up to about 30 eggs. And an albino olive python sells for about $5,000. So,
wow.
If you wanted to do it in a business sense, you could make a lot of money. But for me, I think it's just a good distraction away from the pool. I struggle to fit in study. I'd struggle to get a job just because we're at the pool, 6 hours, 7 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I need to have a distraction away from the pool. So that kind of gives me almost an identity away from the pool. And I think also the good thing about reptiles is they're around the whole entire globe. So I could come to Spain, I could go to a zoo and check out reptiles, check out some private collections, whatever, and just distract myself from swimming.
Nice, mate. I want to talk about some footy. Now, I saw you strap the boots on not long ago and have a run around. And you might get Rock out there to Port Lincoln to play with you and Sauce as well. But has that always been a love? Did you play a lot when you were younger?
Played a lot, yeah. Obsessed with footy growing up. For me, swimming was always a kind of an opportunity to stay fit for footy season. So, love it. Luckily, got to have another kick the other week, which I don't think most people appreciated. But my family and friends and everyone at home and the community over there loved it, and that's all that mattered. My brother was leaving for the army, and he was going to have a game, and all my mates decided they'd have a kick out there as well, and played some very bruise-free football in the B grade, which was good. But I think luckily doing it over there, you kind of know everyone. So the coach of the Tumby Bay team came up to me before the game and said, "Don't worry, mate, everyone will look after you." And I played centre forward, and the guy that stood on me, I grew up with and knew really well. So we just chatted away out there and had some fun. I think I probably touched the ball about 3 times, but it was good fun.
Razbah's made a career out of playing bruise-free footy, so we understand that on this podcast.
Took the words out of my mouth,
That's
Rock.
for sure. How close? Like, are you good enough to play? Do you think at a high level? Could you play sample footy, potentially AFL footy, if you dedicated yourself to it? Obviously, you're in the swimming. You're saying that you may finish up swimming in 26 at the age of 26. That's still
Category
young.
B, maybe.
That's still young and a potential to play AFL footy if you wanted to.
No, I'll play country footy when I'm done with this. I think for me, it's probably that opportunity's passed. I think 2020 when I was really struggling with my shoulders, I had Troy Selwood send me a message, and I had a Zoom call with Troy Selwood and the Cats about potentially doing Category B rookie after Tokyo last year.
Wow.
And at that point, my shoulder was stuffed and I wasn't swimming at all. And I thought, how good is this? This is awesome. Me and Big Sauce went for a kick of footy around the corner, and I started doing some running and kicking every day, and started to actually think that was a possible opportunity. But Sauce probably was the one that really talked me out of it and went, mate, you're top 2 in the world, top 1 in the world in your sport. Why do you want to go to being 46th on an AFL list and never playing a game? So had a very, very valid point. So I think I'm pretty happy sticking with swimming now. And then when that professional side of things is done, play some country footy, have some fun with it. And I love being in the crowd. I love being a spectator at the Port game. So I don't think I'd be ever good enough to actually play a game. Maybe I'll get to play. They used to have those slowdowns back in the day. Maybe they'll bring back some sort of charity match that I'll be able to play in one day. But I'd take it too seriously, I think.
And, of course, source is Sam Jacobs for the listeners out there that may not be aware, because we do love Port Adelaide. We don't necessarily like the Adelaide Crows. But surely he would have told Geelong to, Troy Selwood's an ex-teammate of mine from the Brisbane days, would have told him, come on, mate, if I'm going to play for anyone, I'm going to pull on the Port Adelaide jumper.
Yeah, I would have thought so too. Mate, let's talk about your old man. Did you love coming to watch him play? And do you remember much of him when you were young?
Nah, his footy career was almost done from my earliest memories. I remember watching him play in the country when we moved across to Port Lincoln, and him playing for the mighty Lincoln South Eagles. But unfortunately, didn't get to watch him play out there for the Magpies. He would have been at that stage, and have watched a lot of highlight reels of him. He loved putting that on as a kid, and obviously I was extremely passionate about it all anyway. So was pretty happy watching him play and watch the highlights reel, and he went all right back in the day, so it was good to sit back and watch.
Yeah, Rock does that with Jack as well, so don't worry about that.
Good.
Mate, what was it like growing up in Port Lincoln? Was it different? Was it good?
Loved it, yeah. Big country boy, I think. So for me, that's probably I can't wait to be able to, I guess, retire almost and just move back over there. Like I said, play the footy on the weekend, do some fishing during the week, and hopefully just live the real country lifestyle. So, it wouldn't change. All my good mates are over there. All my extended family's still over there. So it's always good to get back there. And I think, watching AFL is good, but I think there's nothing better than country footy. I think just it brings the community together. It's such a special day each week. Starts with the under-9s or whatever, it goes through the A grade. Everyone ends up at the club, and it's the best. So for me, I'm very, very excited to one day join back into that. But yeah, very passionate Port Lincoln boy.
Sounds like a good plan to me. Bit of fishing and footy, I might come too.
Well, that's
come across, mate. Welcome anytime.
That's pretty much my life now, Razio, minus the fishing and a fair bit of drinking and eating KFC too often. But we seen the other day, Jace Burgoyne, he debuted, and you were pretty passionate about it, and you put a post out saying your little brother and, of course, your big brother, Pete Burgoyne. Can you tell us about the relationship that you have with the Burgoynes?
I spend a lot of time with Pete, actually. We catch up quite regularly, and he's obviously Port Lincoln boy as well, so I've got a fair bit in common. And
speaking of little reptiles,
he's been pumping Jace up. He's been pumping Jace up now for a very, very long time. He was pumping Trent up there for a while, and Trent kind of never quite got there, and then he's been pumping Jace up for a while. So it's good to finally see the Burgoyne name get another run around at Port Adelaide. And obviously for me, it kind of sucks being overseas. I can't sit back and watch it at a prime time. I sit down at like 7 a.m. in the morning or something to watch Port play. But it was good. He went all right as well. So hopefully he stays in for a couple of weeks or whatever and gets a bit of a run. But yeah, me and Pete, good mates actually, which was good.
Jace was very good, I thought. I thought it was a very good debut. He's still very light, but held his own in some big contests, and I thought he was very good.
Does he remind you of Peter at all, Kyle?
In terms of playing?
Yeah, just the way he's,
I think.
Go on.
Yeah, I think a little bit. I think he's a Burgoyne. I don't know. I think Pete probably. It's a long time ago now since Pete plays, but catching up with him, he always likes to reminisce on his stories. And, I think he tells me he was a whole lot better than he actually was. If you talk to Peter, he was the best player ever. But yeah, Jace has hopefully got a big career ahead of him. And it was just exciting to watch him run around and play and get a few kicks and did quite well. And I think I love that whole father-son concept. I think there's nothing better each year than seeing these kids that are former great players running around out there in their dad's colours and doing well. So, like I said, exciting to see Jace go, and hopefully he's got a long career. I remember speaking to Tommy Jonas on the phone not all that long ago, and he was pumping Jace up as well. So it's good. It's good.
I tend to agree with Kyle there, just before we move on. The father-son rule, if you play one game for that football club, I think you should be aligned to that club.
Because it's 100, isn't it?
It's 100 games, which unfortunately not a lot of players get to 100 games, but you grow up admiring that club, loving that club, and I think it should be one game.
I agree. I was just going to get into Tom Jonas for throwing you under the bus not long ago and sending you to Royal Adelaide Golf Club on short notice.
That was really disappointing, actually, from TJ.
On that.
It was I was like, how good is this? Tommy Jonas, the captain of the club, giving me a call. I'll answer. I haven't spoken to him for a while. he spoke to me all about footy, spoke to me about swimming, life after sport. And then he went into, hey, mate, I've got a really big favour to ask. Can you go to the Royal Adelaide Golf Club tomorrow night and do this speaking gig for me? And I'll see what I can do, mate. And he took that as a yes. And then next minute I had this bloke messaging me about rocking up there. And anyway, it was a good night, to be fair. And I got TJ's, Anzac Day Guernsey signed. So that'll be hung up proudly in the house somewhere.
Okay, so at least he paid you a little something. That's good.
Well, that's one thing I have over Kyle, because I'm sure that TJ called me first. I live pretty close to Royal Adelaide. Said, can you do that? I said, no, I've got other commitments. I actually can't tonight or tomorrow night when he said that. So that's one I've got over you, Kyle. Hopefully you got a membership or something out of it. Hopefully you got a membership.
Got a few golf lessons out of it when I get home.
Let's talk now about your Instagram followers, 103,000 followers. Is social media important to you? You stay connected with your fans. You use it as good as anyone that I follow. As an athlete, I think your content's outstanding and you connect really well with your followers. Is it something that you see as a positive, negative? We know that you've had a few run-ins with the media over a period of time, but social media for you?
Social media, I think if I had it my way, I wouldn't have it all. I think it causes a whole lot of stress to athletes that's quite unnecessary. I think, unfortunately, or not, it's a hard one because the only way you can make money in swimming really is by sponsorships, and with sponsorships comes doing Instagram posts. So that's probably the only real way that I keep Instagram now, is to keep my sponsors happy. But I think there's obviously a lot of good things about it. I'm able to keep connected with a lot of my mates overseas, or when I'm overseas, I'm able to see what's going on in the footy, and I guess also spread my messages that I want to spread as well, which I've been doing probably a bit more lately, is just spreading my opinions and how I feel about things, and being a bit more relatable to humans and society, rather than just being a robot that I think people think athletes are almost at times. A lot of athletes seem to say the same things and post the same things. So I think if you're able to be, a little bit more a little bit more relatable, it's going to go a long way. So I'm trying to do that a bit lately, but probably spend a little bit too much time on Instagram, especially when I end up overseas. And the afternoons, obviously, the time zone sucks, so most people are asleep, and I just end up scrolling on social media, which is a shame. But I guess everyone does it these days.
Well, a good-looking rooster like that with the Spain glow, tattoos out, guns out, I'm sure he's doing plenty of scrolling, just looking for maybe a future wife. I'm not sure.
In Spain.
Spanish girl. Find a Spanish girl over here and bring her home. That's a good plan.
But I want to touch on that, though, because the authenticity piece is hard, right? Because I feel the same thing. Like in footy, you can't say anything because you protected the club or whatever. But I look at American sports and they say whatever the hell they bloody want, to an extent. And I feel like Australian media, and, if you don't want to comment too much, you don't have to. But I feel like Australian media in general, they're always looking to take like the athletes down, like the goalie or whatever. Whereas in America, it just feels like it's a total different vibe. It's always just positivity and spreading that,
I think Australia is just unfortunate that we have the tall poppy syndrome. It's like America, like an athlete or whatever does well, and everyone wants to jump on board and do what that athlete's doing and support them and be like them, I guess. Whereas Australia, people don't like seeing people do well in a way, so they like to cut them down and bring them back down to earth, I think, in a way. And there's a lot of jealousy that goes on. So it is unfortunate. Obviously, had a bit of a run-in with the media lately from nothing really either. Kind of think they baited me into that and that story, and it's just to sell headlines. And I think for me, I'm going to stand up and make. I was pretty happy in Budapest. They tried to ask me a few things, and I stand up and just be like, I've got nothing to say to you, type thing. And had a fair spray after most of my races at the media, just because I didn't want to speak to them after how they've treated me over this last little period, and I'll continue to do so until things change. And it's good that athletes are starting to kind of stand up for it, because it is a shame. Like, you kind of would be like you guys, you have one bad week in footy and they want to bring you right back down and write all these terrible articles. And the week before that, you could have kicked 5 goals and got best on. So it's an interesting world in Australia, an interesting world, the media one.
Okay.
I think a lot of athletes out there would love the way you go about it. I certainly do from an ex-player, and I know that you're going to come on my radio station very shortly and give us a nice interview, the highly rating show that I'm on a Saturday morning. He's already committed to that, but we want to move on now.
You better pay the man.
No, it's all love.
No, free.
So we're going to jump.
Slamming the media I'm on.
We're going to keep these answers brief because we've got some KFC bucket hats. I don't know whether you can see them, and beanies to give away because they are a great sponsor of the Footy Club. We threw out some Instagram questions. They're going to win a prize because they sent the question through, and we're just going to answer. You don't have to elaborate too much on them, just however long you feel. Jack Bowes, who is your favourite player from Port Adelaide?
That's a really tough question. I'm going to go Jace Burgoyne right now then.
Whack. I'm sitting right here and he's whacked me.
Yeah, I know. Hard question to answer, but game one.
He said you got to play
Yeah,
to
true.
be your favourite player.
Okay, sorry. I've got one here from Queen Kate Jean. If you were to play football at Port Adelaide, what Guernsey number would you wear?
I think my old man, when he was at Port Adelaide, wore number 7, so it'd be nice to rock number 7, but he was always number 8 when he played for the Magpies, so the family ties to those two Guernseys.
Okay.
I probably wouldn't get it. I'd be number 47 or something if I was ever to play, but...
Yes, well, I'm sure we could shift Jezza Finlayson around and you could wear the 11, mate, if you come back here. I think it's Kinu Ane.
Yeah.
Who is your inspiration for your success and career?
Probably my family, I'd have to say. My old man was always very influential on everything that I did. Obviously, being an athlete, he was able to give me a fair bit of guidance through my earlier years, and my mum's my number one person in my life. So very lucky to have a very caring, loving mum who inspires me daily and motivates me. So, and my brother, I got to say my brother is always a legend. But from an athlete point of view, I've always been a huge Kevin Durant fan. So, KD's probably my number one sports person, obviously.
Oh, he can play.
Not at the moment while he's
what club?
requesting trades. And
what club's he going to play at? He's playing to everyone.
I don't know. Hopefully a club that I like so I can get around him a bit more again.
Beautiful, mate. We've got one more fan question here from TJ Liskey. What do you do to unwind and escape from the pressures? Obviously, there's lots of pressures in your sport. What do you do to unwind and just get away from it all?
FaceTiming, connecting with mates, especially when I'm away. I love just being able to call friends who don't know nothing about swimming or don't want to talk about swimming at all, and that's always a bit of a treat. Family, but then reptiles when I'm at home is just getting in the shed and cleaning and feeding snakes and playing with a crocodile or whatever else that just completely distracts me from swimming, or footy and basketball as well. Huge NBA fan, huge obviously Port Adelaide fan, so watch as much basketball as I can. Obviously watch Port every week. So those are my biggest distractions, I reckon. Pretty simple.
Well, we're going to wrap it up there. We could have you... I think I say this every week, but I legitimately mean it this week. I could have him for another 2 hours, Kyle. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you joining us from the other side of the world, Spain. We wish you all the best in the upcoming Commonwealth Games. And moving forward, we hear that Paris may be the farewell tour. I may even venture over there to watch his last swim. But thank you again. You're a famous name in the Port Adelaide family, and we love that you have so much love for the Port Adelaide family. So thanks again for joining us today.
Appreciate it, mate. Thanks for that. And hopefully, Paris, you've got your commentary skills up to date, and maybe you can even call the race. That'd be a real treat.
Oh, I can't get the names right. I'm sorry.
Mate, when you get back, maybe we'll have to go to
be great.
Port Lincoln Leisure Centre Rock and do a bit of a swim off. Me and you and Carl can teach us a few things.
I'd prefer to go fishing or...
Oh, yeah, we can do that too. Have a few beers as well.
And stuff, yeah.
I did that at Port Adelaide a few years ago. You might have been around there at that stage, Rock. I came in,
I was there.
Raced against 4 of the boys. They did a relay. They got a 10-second head start or something. It was terrible for my confidence. It was just before Nationals. So I rocked in and did 4 laps. They did a relay, got a 10-second head start. They were going before each other touched, and I got smashed. It was just embarrassing.
Yeah, very unfair and just typical of the boys.
Yeah,
boys in locker rooms are just not good at all. But thank you again, and good luck moving forward.
Appreciate it, boys. Thanks for that.
Thanks, mate.
Good on you, mate. Thanks heaps for that.
This place is different. It has a soul, a heartbeat. It gets into your senses. It's more than football. It's belonging.
Well, we're back for Friday Night Footy, brought to you by KFC. How good was the guest, Kyle Chalmers? Oh, my goodness.
Mate, we say it all the time, but as you said, we made it this week. He was sensational.
Well, I only said it last week because we had Chris Davies, and I was like, you're a good friend of mine, Chris, but could have finished you up about 10 or 15 minutes earlier. But Kyle, we could have had him all night.
Yeah, I wanted to pick
All
the
day,
brand.
all night. He is an outstanding ambassador for the Port Adelaide Football Club. He lives and breathes Port Adelaide.
Yeah, I almost feel like he wants to play footy now. If we gave him a category B, he'd be here for sure.
Well, he's not going to Geelong, as we discovered. So that's an exclusive to the Rock the Razbah podcast. So that's
what we provide.
I can't believe that he was pretty close to going there, only for Sam Jacobs to say to him, no.
Yeah. The thing that shocks me is like he was actually contemplating. Like he's going to be 26. Like he would have been 23 at the time.
Yeah, he would have been in the prime to go and play AFL footy. I think you can play your best footy but he's number 2 in the world for swimming. And yeah, anyway, a fantastic chat. Yeah, one that will go down on the record books in Port Adelaide, and certainly the Rock the Razbah podcast. As you said, it was a special episode 13 podcast. Now, we're going to move on. Unfortunately, last week we were both losers. We tipped both losing on that Friday night game. Yeah, St Kilda got the win. So we're not going to do a challenge this week because we both lost, but we are going to do a challenge next week.
Okay.
Inspired by
the great man.
Yes.
Kyle. Okay. I like it.
So it won't have a great deal of audio. We may have to get someone else, maybe another player that to commentate what happens, but it's fair to say that it's probably going to happen in the pool.
Yeah. Look forward to it, Rock.
Moving forward, the Swans take on the Dogs. Friday Night Footy brought to you by KFC.
Where?
It's at the SCG. I think Sydney will win.
Do you?
Yeah, I think Sydney will win. You're going to go the Dogs?
I'm not sure, Rock.
If you go the Dogs, the margin's irrelevant.
It is, but that's Sydney. I mean, against us, we outplayed Sydney very well. Our pressure was good, and Essendon came over the top and got them done.
I thought you forgot that you were at Port Adelaide. Then us like Essendon.
Come on, mate. Don't do me like that, mate.
Are you going to go the Dogs?
Oh, I'm umming and ahhing. What are you going to go Sydney by? I think it's going to be close. It's going to be a bloody good game.
Well, I think they'll win by 3 or 4 goals, so say 21 points.
Okay, I think they'll just win. I think it's going to be 7 points.
7 points Sydney.
Yeah.
All right, so there's the bet for next week. We'll may potentially have a double challenge because we're going to do the challenge next week inspired by the guest today, which was Kyle Chalmers. Fantastic guest again. If you want to go back and listen to it again, download it again because the download and views are really important to us and my salary here. But that's Friday Night Footy brought to you by KFC. Moving forward, we've seen the AFLW draw release this week, so that's fantastic. We see the showdown at Adelaide Oval. I think it's September 30 or that weekend, the weekend after the AFL Grand Final. Massive for the girls. They've got their draw. I've seen them out there last night training, so they're starting to build through their summer, even though it's winter.
They're going well. We did me and Trent Dumont, Froggy, we did a little bit of a rehab session with Erin Phillips on the weekend. And she's getting ready. She's gearing up. She's looking good, hopefully running this week.
She's jumped in the coach's box as well, which has been a good change. I think it may only be home games, but she's jumped in.
She was quick to note she was 2 from 2. She said it was easy gig.
Yes, well, that's very good. And let's look at the games this weekend. The Magpies take on the Eagles at 2:10 away at the Woodville West Torrens ground on Saturday. And Port take on the Giants at 7 p.m. Adelaide Oval Saturday night. And, of course, kids get in free.
Bring them down.
Get in there. Hopefully you're only a week or 2 away, Razio. I've said that a couple of times, but I think this time you've had all your bad luck and you're away. But another huge episode for us today. An amazing guest, and thanks again to everyone for listening. We'll get those prizes out to the winners, but there is a couple of guests coming up as well that I want to touch on just before we wrap up the show completely. Moving forward, there is a little bow and arrow.
Yes. Okay.
And I don't want to say too much, but there's a little bit of a aroma.
Okay.
He roams around.
Yeah.
We have him.
Who else?
There's a player that an ex-captain potentially may join us. And there may be one huge guest towards the end of the season that we may have locked away. He's away at the moment, but I don't want to say too much. But he, AFL media, not even AFL
royalty.
Media,
Royalty.
Media royalty.
Stay tuned, everybody. Thanks very much for your fans' questions this week. That was superb.
And thanks again for listening and join us on Rock the Razbah. That's another episode all wrapped up.